top end speed.
And what more can you say about this young man? Just turned 22 years old, ran 9.69 in the Olympic final, and did not run through the tape the last 15 meters. Who knows what he might have run that 100 meters in, which of course allows us to speculate on what he might eventually run for that distance.
In case you haven't figured it out, that little motion where he leans down and points to the...
Make that final, and what more can you say about this young man? At 6 feet 5 inches, he's not supposed to be able to run the 100 meters at all, much less at the types of times that he has been running.
I talked to Bolt a year and a half ago at the Penn Relays. We had a nice little conversation, and I looked at his size, and I said, you know, I think you're taller than 6'5". Basically smiles at me, and he says, well, maybe. I think he's at least 6'6", which makes it even more impressive how fast he gets out of the blocks. It's extraordinary. When I watched him run his quarterfinal race, I was at home, and I started yelling at the television set. I had never seen a guy stride the last 50 meters of a race, run 9.92 seconds, the sixth fastest in the world, and he was loping along his last 50. Let's see what he does here tonight.
And he could scare quarter milers by even talking about running that race.
True.
Bolt, you can't miss him in the middle of the turn. Richard Thompson looking very good early, but now here comes Bolt. Dix on his right, but it's all Usain Bolt. It's him against the clock. 9.83 into a 0.5 headwind, and he tells you, hey, I'm just cruising.
And he was. His last probably 20 meters or so, he didn't really slow down or anything. He just kind of kept striding along nicely. He didn't push it. There's the lightning bolt gesture. And that bolt of lightning did hit the Letzigrund Stadium tonight. There's no question. I did the math on this, Dwight, sitting at home for SportsCenter. We did a couple of pieces on this in the last week. We did 3 different stories on him at SportsCenter. And I calculated his last 90 yards of his 100-meter race, despite the clowning around that went on. And when you do all the math, you convert to yards. He ran the last 90 yards, picture a football field, in 6.9 seconds. Astounding stuff. His last 50 yards on a football field covered in 3.7 seconds for Usain Bolt.
And he doesn't even look like he's making any kind of an effort. Walter Dix doing a nice job to stay in there, but he says, hey, I'm just on cruise control.
You know what fear is? Fear is having Usain Bolt get the baton 4 steps behind Jeremy Warner or LaShawn Merritt if you're the 2 guys in an Olympic race, and he's going to run the 400 against you, the Olympic champion.
Now, if Jamaica could get the stick to him with just about 15 meters in arrears, it would be a scary thing for him to be on that 4x400 last leg. I think that this is a man who can run under 43 seconds if he ever decides he wants to run it. Bolt wins it in 9.83. Walter Dix getting second, and Richard Thompson ends up third.
He says he doesn't want to run the 400, and other people have said, his coach, I'm lazy. Wait till he does.